English Forward presents What is the best way to learn English? A question on the forefront of many students' minds is, what is the best way to learn English? There are so many different methods and techniques available, so choosing the right fit for the student is crucial. This choice will determine whether the student makes fast or slow progress and whether they continue learning or abandon the project as being too hard. Before we dive into some techniques to fast-track your learning, let's take a step back and look at how a native English speaker would start learning English as a child. They would start with very basic words that relate to everyday objects and practical lessons that are in use in their home, the family, and in the everyday interactions with the people around them, and slowly, over years, would build up a vocabulary where conversational English and understanding is simple, and they have an established confidence to progress with the language. Family members would encourage them, reinforcing positive results and correcting bad habits, and the child would steadily progress. The progress would be exciting, as storytelling and reading became an anticipated activity, and understanding and conversation are a socially rewarding experience. Once they get to school, this knowledge will be supplemented with a structured approach to learning, adding in fundamental knowledge of grammar, language, and reinforced with constant repetition until they have a broad understanding of the basic rules and can use them instinctively in conversation and written text. This foundation allows them to further explore the language and more complex texts until they reach a point of knowing 80% of English that will be useful for them in everyday life. Once they reach this stage, they are thinking in English, dreaming in English, and have a good grasp of the language. Unless further specialized knowledge is needed for career advancement or future studies and other specific opportunities, there is no need to study English any further. A 50 to 60% competency will allow a learner to converse with even the most learned English student or linguist. Let's have a look at how a person who is not a native English speaker would learn English. Often, if they haven't learned it at school and start learning the language as a teenager or adult, they may find that when they decide to pursue English as a subject with mastery in mind, the task seems so overwhelming that it fills them with anxiety before they even start. If we told you to master English, you need to learn the 250,000 or so English words in the dictionary, where would you start? This seems like an unbelievably hard task, and even if you are the most diligent and determined student and decided to learn 30 to 40 words a day, it would still take you 20-plus years to learn them all, day in and day out, not taking into consideration the grammar, sentence construction, and pronunciation needed to master English. It would take a lifetime of study to learn English, and unless you are a very disciplined person, in all likelihood would give up. As an alternative method, how would you rate this? Do you think it is possible to learn the 100 most used English words, both written and spoken, a total of 200 words over a period of 3 to 6 months? That would mean you would need to learn and be able to recognize and pronounce 1 to 3 words a day. Does that sound more achievable? So the question to ask ourselves is, what is the best way to learn English? And that leads to another question is, what are you learning English for? I'd like to use an example and consider how we would build a house. The first thing we do is sit with an architect and get them to draw a set of plans for the house construction. The plan would be a detailed blueprint that a builder could use to construct the house. The builder would take this plan and deconstruct it, making a list of materials, progress milestones, and recruit the team needed to complete the construction. They would break the building process down into phases. Phase 1, foundation. Phase 2, walls. Phase 3, roof. Phase 4, windows and doors. Phase 5, electrical, etc. Then construction would begin in a structured, methodical, measured fashion to ensure that the house won't fall down once it is complete. Learning the English language is very similar. Here are some ideas to help you progress towards basic conversational fluency. 1. Deconstruct the project into phases, e.g., 100 most written and spoken words. Which auxiliary verbs, to have, to want, to need, etc., and basic verbs, to eat, to drink, to go, etc., will allow you to begin communicating ideas as quickly as possible. This is an important step. What is the minimum effort that will be required for you to start with? Here the Pareto principle applies. In other words, which 20% should you learn first to achieve 80% of the result you want? 2. In which order should you learn the different phrases? Very important to ensure you build the foundation before putting the roof on. 3. Set up a reward system. What gets measured improves. English Forward is creating a tokenized reward system to incentivize you both by recognition and financially to reach your goals. Here is an example of a challenge. Read 2 books written by Dr. Seuss within your first 2 months. 1. The Cat in the Hat. 2. Green Eggs and Ham. Dr. Seuss wrote The Cat in the Hat using only 225 words. After his editor bet him that he couldn't write a book using fewer words, he wrote Green Eggs and Ham, using only 50 different words. Once you've read them, you would have read number 4, Green Eggs and Ham, on Publishers Weekly's 2001 list of all-time best-selling children's books. Well done. You've achieved your first major milestone of reading a bestseller English book. This process can be applied to every part of the English language and help you move from starting to fluency. You were listening to an English Forward production, the web's largest Learn English community and Q&A site. Everything you need to understand and improve your English. Visit EnglishForward.com.